Here's something that guys do when they're trying to attract a woman that women absolutely hate. Trying to please her above everything else. Putting her on a pedestal. Putting her needs and her wants and her desires above everything else in your life. This is incredibly unattractive and it's incredibly needy.
What most men don't realize is that some of the tiniest habits are the ones that quietly destroy attraction. You might think you're just being yourself, but there are behaviors women notice and silently judge that can make you instantly less appealing. Today, I'm breaking down 5 unattractive habits women hate, habits that can kill chemistry before you even know it. Welcome to the channel, where I give you the unfiltered, practical advice that most guys miss. I'm here to show you exactly what to avoid, not to shame you, but to help you understand how attraction really works in the modern dating world. These aren't theories. I see this every day in the dating lives of men who think they're doing everything right. In the next clips, I'll walk you through each habit one by one, explain why it's a turnoff, and give you a simple way to fix it without losing your edge. By the end of this video, you'll be able to spot these habits in yourself, understand why they matter, and take control of how women perceive you. 1. Constantly checking your phone.
We don't talk enough about how looking at our phones while someone is telling us a story is a form of rejection. One of the most overlooked ways we create distance in our relationships is by reaching for our phones before we reach for each other. And at the heart of love and friendship is the need to feel prioritized, to feel chosen, to feel important to each other. I really believe that the phone is not the problem. The problem is ultimately our lack of mastery over our restless mind that constantly pulls us away from the moment we're in. One of the simplest ways to make someone feel loved is to give them your full presence.
Let's start with something that trips up way more guys than they realize. Constantly checking your phone. Men think it's harmless, even normal, to scroll through messages, social media, or emails while on a date or hanging out with a woman. But here's the thing. When she sees it, her brain doesn't read it as casual or okay. It screams, "I'm distracted, you're not my priority, and honestly, I'm bored." Even if that isn't the case, perception is everything. Women notice the little signals, and your phone habit sends a louder message than you think. It's not just about being polite or attentive, it's about attraction. A woman wants a man who's fully present, someone who shows he values the moment with her, even if it's a first date or a casual hangout. When you're constantly glancing at your phone, you give off the opposite vibe: anxious, insecure, and disconnected. And let me tell you, that kills any chance of building real chemistry before it even starts. I've seen this so many times. Men who think they're multitasking like pros, but the woman next to them is quietly losing interest. She's not thinking about your funny meme or your work email. She's noticing that you can't focus on her, and that thought lingers long after the night ends. So in the upcoming clips, we'll break down what you can do instead, how to stay present, how to show attention without being clingy, and how to make her feel like the center of your world, even if just for a few hours. Master this, and you're already steps ahead of most guys. 2. Talking about yourself too much.
What turns women off the fastest?
What do you think?
I think definitely, especially on a first date, if you're going to sit there and talk about yourself the whole time and talk about your life and go on and on and on and not engage with her at all or ask her even a few questions about her life.
Next up is something a lot of men don't even realize they're doing: talking about themselves too much. You might think sharing your achievements, your stories, or your opinions makes you interesting, but there's a fine line between confident and self-absorbed. Women notice it immediately when the conversation becomes a one-way street. If she's doing all the listening, nodding politely, and you never ask about her, you're sending a message that her thoughts, experiences, and feelings don't matter. That's not attractive. It's a major turnoff. Here's the tricky part. It's not about avoiding sharing yourself entirely. Women actually love a man with stories, humor, and insight, but it's about balance. Real connection happens when she feels heard and engaged, not when she's sitting through a monologue about your life. The secret is asking questions, listening actively, and showing genuine curiosity. If she tells you about her day, her work, or something personal, lean in. Show her you're paying attention. Remember details, reference them later, and don't just wait for your turn to talk. That's how attraction grows. Most men underestimate how much this matters. Confidence isn't bragging. It's showing your world without shutting hers out. The moment you dominate the conversation, even unintentionally, it makes her feel less important. And in the modern dating world, that's deadly. In the next clip, I'll show you how to share about yourself in a way that's magnetic instead of annoying, how to keep the conversation flowing, and how to naturally make her feel like you care about her perspective. Mastering this habit is one of the fastest ways to go from being just another guy to someone she genuinely enjoys being around. 3. Acting needy or desperate.
Women hate this more than anything. There's that called being thirsty, bro. Women hate thirsty dudes. Dudes that are trying to like push right through and get to that shit. They hate it. You seem thirsty, you seem needy, you seem desperate, bro. That's like the biggest turnoff for women. Stop being thirsty.
Now let's talk about one of the fastest ways to make a woman lose interest. Acting needy or desperate. Men often think showing eagerness, constant messaging, or over-investing early on is charming, but it usually has the opposite effect. When you come across as desperate for attention, approval, or validation, it signals insecurity. And let me be clear, confidence is sexy, neediness is not. Women are wired to sense it, often within minutes, and it instantly lowers attraction. Here's what happens in her mind. She starts questioning your independence, your self-respect, and whether you can handle life outside of her. Even if you genuinely like her, chasing too hard makes her feel the power in the interaction is lopsided. It's like she's on a pedestal while you're constantly climbing. That dynamic rarely builds desire. It creates pressure and tension that push her away. The trick is subtlety and control. You can show interest, but do it without overdoing it. Give her space, maintain your routines, and communicate with purpose, not panic. Let her see that your life doesn't revolve around her text responses or social media updates. Men who master this strike a balance. They're available enough to show they care, but detached enough to stay magnetic. In the upcoming clips, I'll break down practical ways to avoid neediness without becoming cold, how to maintain attraction by setting boundaries, and why giving a woman space actually makes her value your presence more. Understanding this is key because desire grows in the tension between connection and independence. Master this, and you'll see a shift in the way women respond to you almost immediately. 4. Not listening or remembering details. Let's dive into something most men completely overlook. Not listening, or worse, not remembering the little details. You might think nodding along while she talks is enough. But women notice when you're only half present. Forgetting her favorite drink, her recent story, or even small preferences doesn't seem like a big deal to you, but to her, it sends a silent message. You're not paying attention, and her words don't matter. That's a subtle but powerful turnoff. Women remember the small gestures, the tiny cues, and they judge men not just on what they say, but on how well they listen. When you actively recall details she's shared, it shows you care, you value her, and you're genuinely engaged. This isn't about being perfect. It's about demonstrating that her world isn't invisible to you. It's one of the easiest ways to stand out in a sea of guys who only talk about themselves or forget what she said 5 minutes ago. The interesting part is that this habit actually affects attraction more than flashy compliments or overt gestures. Women crave men who make them feel understood, who remember their quirks and opinions, and who respond thoughtfully. Listening isn't passive. It's an active tool for building connection. In the next clip, I'll show you how to remember key details naturally, how to weave them into conversations without sounding rehearsed, and why this subtle skill can make a woman feel seen and appreciated instantly. Mastering this turns ordinary interactions into moments she won't forget, and that's the kind of presence that keeps her thinking about you long after you leave. 5. Over-explaining or apologizing for everything. Finally, let's talk about something I see all the time with men in relationships. Over-explaining or apologizing for everything. Take someone like David, a client I worked with. He genuinely liked his girlfriend, But every small disagreement or misunderstanding turned into a long explanation or an apology marathon. He thought it showed he cared, that it proved he was good or attentive. The reality? It pushed her away. Women interpret constant apologies or over-explaining as insecurity. It's as if you're begging for approval instead of showing confidence in yourself and your decisions. Here's the key. Attraction thrives on confidence, not justification. You don't need to explain every thought, text, or action. Over-explaining diminishes your presence and makes you seem unsure of your own worth. Women notice when a man constantly feels the need to justify himself, and it quietly lowers their respect and desire. Instead, the goal is clarity without over-apologizing. You can acknowledge mistakes when they matter, but don't overdo it. A simple, "I see that," or "got it," can communicate accountability without turning every conversation into a lecture or a courtroom. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's showing you can handle life and relationship bumps without losing your footing. Men like David often learn that when they stop over-explaining and stop apologizing for every little thing, women actually respond more positively. Boundaries feel safer, respect grows, and attraction strengthens naturally. In the upcoming clips, I'll show you how to communicate effectively, own your choices, and avoid the trap of trying too hard to prove yourself. Master this, and you'll find women engaging with you differently. They'll listen, respect, and yes, even desire your presence more than before. So, there you have it. The 5 habits women quietly notice and hate. Constant phone checking, talking only about yourself, acting needy, not remembering details, and over-explaining all chip away at attraction more than most men realize. The good news? These are habits you can fix, and doing so instantly changes how women see you. Start being present, confident, and attentive, and watch the difference in how she responds. Take what you've learned here, practice it in real interactions, and you'll notice not just more attention, but genuine respect and desire growing naturally.